Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. Hope you guys are doing well today. And it's the best spec. It's Elemental pre-patch guide. Going to be talking spells, stat priority, talents, glyphs, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. So obviously picking the Elemental tree, and we're going to be going down this route. So I will talk through the talents as we go, or afterwards. And boom. So this is going to be our default setup for Elemental. Let's go through it. So Concussion increases the damage done by your abilities. Acuity gives you 3% crit chance. Call of Flame increases the damage done by your fire totems. This includes Fire Elemental Totem. And Lava Burst spell by 10%. I'm not going to try and say it again. Reduce the cooldown of your shock spells. This is very important. It looks like it's not that important. It really is. Elemental Precision increases your damage by 3%, and you get hit from Spirit. Very important. Rolling Thunder, when you deal damage with a Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, while your Lightning Shield ability is active, you have 60% chance to recover 2% of your mana, and gain an additional Lightning Shield charge. Very important again. Critical or Elemental Focus is just clear casting. Elemental Reach increases the range of our spells. Now, this is something that could be dropped, but I would really recommend not. It's a very big quality of life thing. Elemental Oath increases our damage from while we're clear casting by 10%, and we give our raid 5% crit chance, which is an amazing buff. Lava Flows increases the critical strike damage bonus of your Lava Burst spell by an additional 24%, and the damage of your Flame Shock by 60%. Now, for PvE, this is incredible. There is a bonus for PvP, which is when it gets dispelled, you gain Spell Haste, but not something we're going to worry about. Your Lava Burst should always be critting, so very, very nice. We then have Fulmination. When you have more than 3 Lightning Shield charges active, your Earth Shock spell will consume any surplus charges, instantly dealing their total damage to the enemy target. Crazy. We then have Elemental Mastery, which is just our proc. Totemic Wrath causes your fire totems to increase the spell power of all party and raid members by 10%. Very, very, very nice. Means we don't have to specifically put down a totem. As long as we have a fire totem down, we're getting this buff. Great. Feedback then, your Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning spells reduce the remaining cooldown in your Elemental Mastery by 3 seconds. Again, our Elemental Mastery is 3 minutes, but we can get that down really low. Typically, during Kata, I get this down on the first one with Bloodlust and things, down to like a 1 minute cooldown. After that, it's like a minute and a half. I expect during Wrath, we'll probably be able to get this close to, maybe not that low, but a minute and a half, sub 2 minute cooldown most times, as long as you're permanently DPSing. Flame Surge gives your Flame Shock periodic damage ticks a 20% chance to reset the cooldown of your Lava Burst spell. Again, just really nice. We're then going to be taking Elemental Weapons, which is a noticeable damage increase. We then have a couple of options for our last 3. In terms of raw damage, you would go into 3 Improved Shields. If you wanted a little bit more survivability, you can go into 2 Ancestral Resolve. If you wanted more healing taken, you can go into Spark of Life. I'm personally going to be going into Improved Shields because I want to do maximum damage possible, and this is going to be my talent tree. Now, in terms of glyphs then, Flame Shock is going to be a very important one, and is one I'm just going to put straight in. Now, Ellie probably has the most options for glyphs in our prime slot. So Flame Shock is going to be the first one. We then have our option between Unleash Lightning and Lightning Bolt. Now, I'm almost always going to be running Unleashed Lightning. It's just so nice a quality of life thing, and the 4% damage increase just isn't better than being constantly able to damage. We then will probably be going for Lava Burst overall. Now, sometimes Flame Tongue can actually just be better. We are going to be pretty starved for stats and things, so, but in terms of the way our gear probably already looks, we probably won't need Flame Tongue. So Lava Burst is going to be the way to go for me. Now, major glyphs. Chain Lightning is only good if you are in a dungeon. There's not many times where you're going to need to hit 5 targets in the raid. So it's one that really you probably want, and you probably want some Vanishing Powder so you can switch in and out of it, but I won't be running all the time. Elemental Mastery reduces the damage we take by 20% while it's active, which is pretty nice, but again, not something I really want to worry about. Healing Stream Totem is one that I am definitely going to be running, just to bring that utility to the group. Lightning Shield is one I'm definitely going to be running. So there's times where the boss will do an AoE. Think Syndragosa is a perfect example. Does pulsing AoE damage that can consume your Lightning Shield stacks. You know, you don't want to be wasting globals reapplying that during the fight, so just maintain it. This makes sure that you will always have it on and you'll always be building towards Fulmination, which is great. And then finally, I will be running Stoneclaw Totem. We don't need Thunderstorm, we don't need anything else. Stoneclaw gives us a defensive and will be what I'm running. Again, minor glyphs, I'm not even going to put them in. You do have the option of running Thunderstorm. Now, this doesn't give you a knockback, but gives you 2% more mana, which it's not the 2% more mana that you run this for. It's so you can run this for AoE, right? You don't want to be knocking mobs all over the place while you're AoEing if you're like in a dungeon or like Syndragosa trash, something like that. So using this glyphs means you can use it as part of your DPS rotation, which while you're running in, dropping a Magma Totem, maybe a Goblin Sapper charge, and Thunderstorm, you can do some pretty significant like AoE burst. So these will be the glyphs that I really recommend running. You have a couple of different options elsewhere, but yeah, that will be what I'm running. Now, spells. Let's get into it. So, Call of the Elements. Again, I will be running all of my glyphs off this. And this will be what I'm running by default. So, Stone Skin, Searing Totem, Healing Stream Totem, and Wrath of Air Totem will be my default. Now, we're going to be switching Earth and using Stoneclaw as we need it for a defensive. We're going to be using Fire Elemental Totem because it is amazing, and we want to be using this to our advantage massively. Healing Stream Totem should just always be active. However, Ellie is probably one of the better options to bring Mana Spring if you need it. As long as someone else is bringing the resistances that you would bring through Healing Stream. And you can run Wind Fury if your group has neither of these buffs. I'm not going to lie, as an Ellie Shammy, I'm never running without Wrath of Air, so sorry, Melee. Now then. Chain Lightning is going to be our AoE cast. No cooldown in dungeons. You pick this button and you just... That's it. Earthshock is going to be our Lightning Shield Spender. So a very important spell. What you effectively want to be doing, and I have got the Ellie Shammy Encyclopedia that should be up by now. If it isn't, it's coming very soon. And it talks about the different things that you're going to be able to do with these, but you effectively want to maintain Flame Shock without ever dropping uptime, and then maximize the amount of like 7 to 9 Lightning Shield charge Earth Shocks that you can get off. Elemental Mastery is just our damage cooldown. Fire Elemental is the best spell in the world. So Fire Elemental Totem, it snapshots with only spell power, okay? So this is something that is very, very important. It only snapshots with spell power. So you want the maximum amount of spell power prior to casting this. You know, if you've got DFO, stack that up. If you've got Phylactery, let it proc. You know, Tailor and Enchant. Anything you can do to maximize your spell power before a fight or before using this is the most important thing you can do. Fire Nova then, it doesn't get much use as Ellie, but it probably should. If you ever get to a point where there's like a weird amount of targets, or there's like way too many targets that Chain Lightning can't hit everything, then Fire Nova has value, but it's mainly used to be used while you're moving and doing AoE. So, you know, there's some value there, but it's not great. Frost Shock I just put on my bars for utility, but I will probably never actually use it. Hex, again, I will probably never use, but it's nice to have. Lava Burst then, we should be using pretty much on cooldown. Remember that cooldown can be reset with Lava Surge, so you want to be using it as much as possible. Lightning Bolt then is going to be our spammable. We should be casting as many of these during the fight as possible. Magma Totem should only be used during AoE. We go in, put it down, and again, I mentioned it earlier, but kind of Magma Totem, Thunderstorm with a glyph. You can do some decent burst damage in a pack. But yeah. Purge, just in case we need it. Searing Totem, if you haven't got... So there's a couple of different reasons why you shouldn't use Searing Totem. If you haven't got a... If you haven't got Fire Elemental totem off cooldown, then, you know, Searing Totem is best. Aside from that, you know, single target, this should just be down. Stoneclaw Totem is our defensive button, and Wind Shear is our interrupt. 5-second cooldown interrupt, and we are likely going to be spell hit. Makes Ellie Shami one of the most reliable low cooldown interrupts in the game. Expect to be on interrupt duty. Bloodlust, as always. Earth Shield Totem, you know, Earth Elemental Totem, sorry, you know, actually does a little bit of damage. It's not much, but at the start of a fight, just pop it and send it in. We never really need Elemental Resistance Totem because of Healing Stream. Flame Tongue Weapon is going to be our default imbue. We should never really be using any others. Lightning Shield then is something you're going to want on your bars because, you know, you want to make sure this is always up. It's an important button for your rotation. You always want to make sure that's up. Everything else here we're going to manage through our Call of the Elements. And then Resto, I tend to just have Healing Surge on my bars. We don't have mana issues really as Ellie, so being able to burn a little bit of mana through Healing Surge if we need a heal isn't a bad thing. Chain Healer will always have multiple bars as well, just because, you know, think Lich King Frostmourne Room. You know, if the group's struggling with healing, just chuck out a couple of chain heals and you can help the group out massively. You have got Water Shield if you absolutely need it, but you really shouldn't ever. Remember that Thunderstorm does give you some mana back, so if you want to use it, use that on cooldown. And yeah, it's kind of everything that we'd really need. Tremor Totem just for a bit of utility. And yeah, happy days. Totemic Recall just for moving your totems, you know, just to get a little bit of mana back while you're doing it. But it's mainly for Ellie, like I said, you don't have mana issues, so it's mainly just for moving them, so they're not going to pull mobs or anything like that. But yeah, overall, this is what I'm going to be going. In terms of stats then, haste is going to be king. Haste, haste, haste. Now, in Kata, haste is roughly equivalent to mastery. As one gets higher, the other one starts to balance it out. So if you get loads of haste, mastery becomes better. If you get loads of mastery, haste becomes better. With us not having access to being able to get too much mastery, any reforging and stuff, I will be picking up mastery if I can. Aside from that, it will be haste, making sure we are hit capped, and then just any crit is residual. But yeah, so that's kind of it for Ellie. Hope you guys enjoy. More videos coming soon. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Any questions, make sure you leave them down below and I will get to them. Thank you for watching and catch you later. Bye.